Where's the weirdest place that you've played a game? All right, welcome to Reality Checks. I'm Brian Ritz, the host, and in this show, we partner with insights and marketing professionals on surveys of 1,000 Americans and then ask them to predict the results. So in today's episode, we have André Gualda, a consumer and player insights lead at King. Welcome, André.
Hey, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today. And what are we talking about?
We are talking about mobile gamers and how they play and what they play. Super excited to see some interesting questions in there, particularly about downloading. And I guess we'll see.
And for those of you who don't know King, you might know their most popular product or game. It's Candy Crush. But we're not talking about Candy Crush today. We're just talking about games in general.
Yeah, games in general. Of course, we have one of the main ones, Candy Crush, over 5 billion downloads in the lifetime, over 200 million monthly active users. If you haven't heard or played Candy Crush, that would have been pretty surprising, but super curious to hear, again, what else people are playing and what's else going on.
And just to be clear before we do this, you've seen YouGov data before, you've worked with YouGov data, but you haven't seen these results, correct?
No, I haven't seen this, or yeah, not at all.
Okay, just want to make sure because you might get a lot of questions right, you might not, but just in case, we want to make sure that no one thinks that we colluded or anything.
No, this is on the spot.
All right, great. So first question is, what are the most popular gaming genres? And we gave people some options to choose. It was a mark all that apply question.
I think I'm going to go with puzzle. This is the type of games we have been making. This is what Candy Crush falls into. I think that's the most common mobile game type.
Beyond what you mentioned earlier about all the downloads, why would you say that's the most popular type?
I think it's also this, it's quick to play and it's easy to pick up and put down. You can play in short bursts of time. You can play in long times. And it's also legacy from how those type of, before mobile devices, you had things like Tetris and those, and it's also it's so satisfying to play those 5 minutes where you beat something and you get an instant kind of moment of joy after beating a puzzle or solving and beating a level.
Yeah, like the little dopamine rush, the I did good.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you think might pop up to the top?
I think that nowadays, as mobile games become more and more popular, they're probably more elaborate games. So I was also leaning into saying shooting games, things like Call of Duty, and things that I suppose the new generation is playing and bringing from their houses to the street, playing, from playing console and PC to playing mobile. So if I would have to bet, that would be number 2. But let's see.
All right. Well, we'll show the results. The reality is definitely got the first one. Puzzle Breakout, instant number 1, and then you have kind of word and number and brain games, which kind of fits into the puzzle too.
Yeah, that slipped under the door here. Yeah, word and number games. Yes, also kind of the same beating, exercising the brain. Card and casino. Yeah, I mean that was supposed to be also on my mind, with solitaire being one big game and one that we actually have now for a Candy Crush solitaire game. Then a bit surprised by the strategy and action adventure. I was expecting the shooter to be kind of the other on top of there. I suppose you have other games that are like social strategy and game you play with clans and things like that. But yeah, it makes sense.
Cool. We'll dig into the next question, which is, are men or women more likely to play those puzzle games that you were talking about?
Yeah, I think those type of games skews towards women. Now, I have done lots of projects around this type of thing, and the results are always a little bit different. I'm not sure if we will have a number to say how much more it skews towards women, but I would put something like 60-40. But yeah, Women will probably be my bet.
Cool. Well, this is why we do the disclaimer up top that you haven't seen the results, but it is, you have more women who are saying, and close to 60-40, at least in this survey of mobile gamers.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we try to do research. To be honest, I have seen things in the past that were like 52-48, but yeah, you never know what things are going. And also, I think these games, puzzle games, if you take Candy Crush, Match 3, they are changing a lot, and there are lots of new games there that are targeting different audiences, and new games are coming out by the minute. So there are games for everybody here, and yeah, I suppose this is moving towards a more equal split.
I guess just generally, how many games do gamers have on their phones? You said there's plenty happening all the time.
That's the one I'm the most curious to see the results here. 4 games, I would say, but that would, that's based on my experience and the people I know. That's not something I would. Yeah, 4 would be my guess.
So, and why is that? Is that just people download games and then delete them when they're done?
Yeah, I'm not sure they delete them unless they run out of space. But I think people might download games and leave them there. Every now and then they might go back to it. Probably there is something like 1 or 2 that they really play, but how many they have on their phones, that I don't really know. I was preparing for this and just going through how many I have, and obviously because I work with that, I have so many. But I found that I have way too many, and it was time to clean it up. But I would say the average mobile gamer might have something like 4.
But you don't play games on your phone. You're doing work. That's like hard work for you.
That's what I like to say, especially if I'm playing during work hours.
Something that I've never done, if anyone asks.
No, definitely not during a meeting, and definitely not during a live interview.
Okay, well, the guess was 4, and the answer was, I mean, it depends, but more than 4 is about 60%, or 4 or more.
3 or fewer, 40%. I wonder, did you have a number for how many have only 1?
We do have that. I don't have it pulled up here, but we'll have it on yougov.com/realitychecks, where we'll have all the specific data.
And yeah, 20% with 11 or more. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that I think that's where I would sit today, but that's a lot of games.
I think I use an iPhone, and I will generally have about 9 games, because that's how many can fit into the folder. Like you can have a second page of the folder, but that's when I know I'm going too far. So that's my sweet spot. How many games did mobile gamers download in the last month?
I would go with average one game a month. So that's maybe 10, 12 games a year. That's based on how many I probably download every month. But yeah, that's an interesting one, because sometimes you might have a trip, or like you're preparing for an occasion where you might have more time, then you can download lots of it. So it's vacation time and in lots of places, so that might be a bit more. But yeah, I also know that some people never download games. But yeah, I will go with 1, the safe the safe answer.
Yeah, and then we have the survey, I want to say August 15th, maybe August 16th. So it's a summer period. Maybe people have more time. Maybe they are traveling more than they would in another period of time. So does that line up with what you were thinking?
Yeah, I think so. I'm curious to see also like how many. So 6% downloaded the game on the day of the survey, 20%. Yeah, okay. That's more or less a safe bet that I had. It seems like people were on the conservative side. One half of them downloaded 1 game last month. Yeah.
one more question on kind of gaming. Well, I mean, they're all about gaming, but kind of just like, habits is, how many games did they play in the last month? So we know that, they have, more than 4, downloaded at least one, not everybody, but, how many did they actually play?
So I think if they downloaded one and they had another, I would say they played, at least half of them played 4 games last month.
All right, that's a specific prediction. I appreciate that. So at least half played at least 4 in the last month. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, not
just about.
Yeah, 1 in 3 play more than 4. 17%. Yeah, so for me, this is very interesting that like if you take a game like Candy Crush or so many of the other games that are very popular now, they are games that have been going on for a long time. So I think lots of players, they pick one game and they carry it with them, part of their routine. And I would expect to have more people that, this is my game, is Candy Crush or is Sudoko or is Wordle, and that's the only one. And I think for us, it has always been interesting that sometimes people wouldn't even remember that they play a game, and it would be like, I don't know, but yeah, it's not a game. I just play Candy Crush. Well, that's a game, or Wordle. That also goes into that, becomes a part of routine, especially with the puzzles, this mental exercise. But yeah, I would have expected way more to just play one, but at the same time, I would also expect more to play more than 4.
All right, this is an important question. Do Americans play games more at dinner or on the toilet?
The thing is, what people are willing to admit, I think almost everybody have played games on the toilet. So I would go with the toilet. I think the dinner time, the dinner table is a bit more sacred space where you have your family. And now the thing is, I might be betrayed because people are embarrassed to say that, but I think they play more on the toilet.
Yeah, not as sacred of a space.
Not as sacred of a space, indeed.
And that's right. 44% admitted to playing on the toilet and 56% lied.
Exactly, I think so. I think so too. While cooking, while walking, yeah, it's while walking is it's an interesting one. Like how to focus on the small screen while you walk. Yeah, I remember the times when things like this, Pokemon Go and other AR games were launched, where no one was looking around, everyone's just looking on the screen playing.
One last question, and it's: are millennials or Gen X more likely to game on the toilet, or I guess as we talked about earlier, admit to gaming on the toilet?
Yeah, that might be a tricky one. I think millennials are more willing to admit to that, so I'm gonna go with millennials, but I might be wrong here. I'm not very confident.
And not something that King has really done research into in the past, I imagine. So not much to pull from.
No reference there.
It is millennials, significantly too.
I think it's just the admitting part here. I wouldn't expect any generational differences when it comes to playing on the toilet.
Well, we're asking the important questions here.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining today for Reality Checks. Everything from this episode can be found at yougov.com/realitychecks. And Andre, where can people find you and King?
Yeah, king.com. And also, if you look on any app store, Candy Crush is always there. So look for us. Thanks, Brian, for the lovely interview. It was very fun to see a bit more about how people play games.
Cool. Thank you so much. Bye. Thanks for watching Reality Checks. Everything that you saw in this episode was based on a survey of 600 mobile gamers using YouGov Surveys self-serve. If you want to dig into that survey more, head over to yougov.com/realitychecks.